I know that parents today are struggling more than ever before.
Hitting, biting, punching.
They're confused by contradictory advice.
It does at times make me feel a failure.
Worried that other parents are doing better.
I want you to go downstairs. Don't force me.
And yet the majority agree it's a tougher job than they ever imagined.
But I'm talking to you. Shut up.
But if parents don't make changes now, the consequences for their children will be enormous.
You're the worst parents in the history of parents.
So that's why this year I'm stepping up my game. I'm offering more help to more parents, tackling more parental issues.
What are you doing?
I'm still going to be visiting the homes of families
Who are really struggling.
But you're full of hot air. You might as well be blown into a balloon.
But I'm also hitting the road with advice for all on the parenting problems everyone faces.
If you can trust me for 5 days, you will have this nipped in the bud.
How can I get them to be tidier at home?
49 minutes a day. That's all the quality time the average kid gets with their mum and dad. Parents, this is your wake-up call.
What do you think this actual video is about, though?
Child abuse.
Do you think it's about child abuse?
Neglect.
I'll show you the small changes that'll make a huge difference.
I've a lot of work to do, but I'm not shy of hard work.
This week, Joe Frost meets a frenzied 5-year-old with a 10-tantrum-a-day habit.
Don't you dare hit me.
And walks headlong into a step-family in big trouble. Meet Maria and her 3 kids, 11-year-old Jack, Chloe 6, and 4-year-old Demi. Last year, stepdad Scott moved into their South London home. And it's not a pretty sight.
Jack attacks Chloe constantly, Chloe attacks Demi constantly, and it's like World War III breaks out. I do feel responsible because I feel that I've tried to make their behaviour better, I've tried to punish them, but it just isn't working.
Maria's to blame for the way the children act, the way the children are. She lets them walk all over her.
I want you to go downstairs.
Don't force me.
I want you to go downstairs.
Don't force me.
Scott tries to intervene, but is being ignored.
I feel as if I have to kind of listen to him because he's been living at my house for about 1.5 years, but sometimes I just don't want to listen to him because he ain't my dad.
It's frustrating for me because I get kicked, punched, sworn at. Stop it! Shut up, you fat idiot. You're not my dad. You know, it just goes on and on.
But it's not just the parents who are struggling with this new family dynamic.
Scott's getting more attention than I am most. Like, 'cause before he come, I was getting quite a lot of attention, now I'm not. Sometimes when my mum don't give me any attention, I feel really sad.
I need Joe's help now because things are just out of control. They're becoming literally unbearable, and I don't want to lose my relationship with Scott, and I don't want them to lose another father figure.
Rising divorce rates mean that step-families are the fastest-growing family type in Britain today. 1 in 10 families is now a step-family. That's 500,000 families and almost 1 million children. Integrating these new families is a challenge that has become commonplace, but advice on how to do it is hard to find, leaving some families like Maria's desperate for help.
Hi. Hello. Pleased to meet you, Joe.
Nice to meet you.
Hi. You've blended together, right? Yeah. With Maria's family, which is now your family. How have the kids been with regards to the transition?
The middle one, Chloe, the issues are a little bit with Scott. I think she feels that she's betraying her dad, and that's what I think she finds hard. She has to remind him all the time, you're not my dad.
These kids walk all over her. All over. No ain't no, it's yes. She don't stick to nothing. Maria can't do it.
Is Scott wrong?
Scott isn't wrong, no. Scott isn't wrong. I know that I should follow things through, but I think I do everything for an easy life and just for a quiet life.
Never once has she gone out without her mum in this house. But I've never been left. I'm not allowed to be left here without her mummy. It's like I'm not trusted.
Nobody needs to bring another family member up to babysit kids when their own stepfather is here to look after them for an evening. Why won't you allow Scott to raise the kids with you?
Because he isn't their dad. I just find it hard. Let Scott tell my children what to do.
Is Scott just here to pay the bills then?
That's sometimes maybe how he feels.
As far as discipline's concerned, all right, it's really important that you realise that as long as you're prepared to keep Scott half out of the picture, things won't ever get any better. They won't get better. They will get worse. I can guarantee you that now. Hi, how are you?
Joe decides to ask the kids for their take on the situation. Jack might not spend much time with his mum anymore, but he knows exactly what's going on.
So who makes the rules up in the house?
Mum and Scott.
And who follows through with him?
No.
So is there one parent more firm than the other? Which one's more strict?
Scott.
Scott.
Because if it was Scott on his own, I think we'd all be really disciplined. But because Mum's here, she tells him basically, no, you can't do that. And if he tells Chloe, Chloe will say, oh no, you can't tell me, you ain't my mum or my dad. And they start listening to him basically.
Nothing's going to change unless they stand up together and go, we are going to do this together, and Scott, I'm going to back you up and you're going to back me up, and the kids are going to realise we're raising them together. It's as simple as that.
Not only is Jo visiting families at home, she's on the road, inviting mums and dads throughout the UK to walk in with their problems. The nation's favourite nanny will be offering up some straight-talking advice as she bids to solve our most troublesome parenting issues.
So boisterous all the time. It's embarrassing to go out.
How do I control someone who doesn't understand the word no?
One mum in need of Jo's help has brought in a photo of the damage her badly behaved son has caused.
Who done this? Who tore all the wallpaper off the walls? You did. Why did you do that?
Because my mum just got me really angry.
And that's how you behaved? And you did it because you were angry and you were frustrated, which clearly shows me, OK, that communication is very important. All right, you want to be able to have a conversation with your kids about what they're doing wrong, OK, so that they understand how to think and make a different choice the next time.
But I've tried speaking to him calmly, and it seems to sink in, and then 2 minutes later, that's what happens.
And who's fixing that?
It'll be me that have to fix it.
Really? Every time the kids behave the way that they want to behave, guess who's mopping it up? No consequences for nothing. So I guess he's still playing with his video games. You take all their toys away and let them earn it back.
How does the sister cope with sibling rivalry?
Sibling rivalry?
Yeah, the 5 months, the youngest, and the oldest is 3, and the 3-year-old keeps hitting the little one.
When you bring home a new one, every child thinks, great, this little one's on sale or return, it's going back in a couple of weeks, and it's not the case. The reality is, all of a sudden, the child becomes threatened, which is a natural process for any child to feel. Once you start to allow your child to recognise that they're still able to do the things that they were doing beforehand, what'll happen is that they'll become more comfortable with that, and they'll get used to the idea of the younger one being around, and then you won't have that issue anymore.
When a new baby arrives, it's perfectly natural for toddlers to become jealous. Make sure as parents you show them that you still love them. Encourage bonding time with their new sibling, and let them know that being a big brother or sister is a really special thing.
There's one problem that crops up time and time again. Kids who refuse to go to sleep.
you lie down for Mummy?
Like 2-year-old Lucas, who just won't lie down. Night after night after night.
It's just been awful. Lucas can wake up to 10 times a night. It could be anything from half an hour up to 2 hours sometimes to settle him. And it's just, I think, really hard to cope the next day with 2 children with no sleep or very little sleep.
What we're seeing is basically signs of feeling just a little bit insecure. The separation anxiety at night time happens at 9 months and 18 months and again at 2. So do you want the good news?
Yes, please.
Yeah? 5 days. As simple as that. If you can trust me for 5 days, you will have this nipped in the bud. We're going to use my timed control technique, all right, which is doubling the time. So when you put him to bed and you kiss him good night, all right, you come out of the room, so he goes, no, no, and he starts to cry. You're going to leave it 2 minutes, and then you're going to go back in, OK? You're going to say nothing, but just put him down, OK? And then you're going to come out and double it to 4. You're going to keep going. And what you'll do is teach this little one how to self-soothe. 5 days, it's a small period of time, OK, for something that's going to last a long time.
Joe's in South London, helping to heal a fractured step-family. Ever since Mum Maria moved Scott in, the girls have been running wild, and Jack has retreated to his room.
I'll spend about 10 hours of a day in my room on my own. And I feel like I'm kind of excluded from the family sometimes. One of the reasons I sit in my room is because my mum never wants to do anything with me, really. Just all her attention is on the girls.
Joe is concerned about Jack's isolation.
Do you get much time with Mum?
Not really, because she has the girls to deal with. So there's not really much time where me and Mum can just have son and Mum time. I would like to have an hour or so with my mum, like me and her time, because we used to do that. I think she needs to be more disciplined towards the girls.
If Jack is to get more time with his mum, it's clear to Joe that the girls' behaviour has to be addressed.
When you give a child a warning, and I call it a warning because it's done in a low-toned voice, all right, it shows displeasure, it shows you're not happy with it. After a warning, OK, you will place the child onto the step and you'll explain why they're on it. You're then going to walk away, OK? If the child gets off the step, you're going to place them back. But with no talking. Once you've explained the first time, you don't need to talk again. All right? Then you're going to get your apologies because it's important for a child, OK, to understand that it's inappropriate behaviour. All right, so I'd love you to put these in the kitchen because there's a lot for you to digest, all right, and absorb.
On the trampoline with your
Within minutes, Chloe kicks off, and Maria has to put into practice everything she's just been taught.
Are you being rude to me again?
Don't leave me!
I've given you a warning. You can go on the step for 6 minutes. No, I warned you. Right, listen. I'm putting you... Stop crying. I'm putting you on the step because I gave you a warning.
You have
and
to
you're
shout.
still being
Just
rude
use your normal.
to me.
Just use your normal voice, but low toned. It was actually good that we saw Maria identify that actually what was going on wasn't acceptable and put her on that step. It's the first time really that she's followed through all of the steps and disciplined Chloe. What I do want to see is Scott and how things are tomorrow. Now things are in place.
Back at the roadshow, Joe is helping the nation to become better parents. One recurring problem is that our little ones are refusing to eat a healthy, balanced diet.
The variety of food that we eat is limited, and it has been since he was 2.
Don't like that, don't want that. I'm just really worried about Mitchell's eating habits.
2.5-year-old Jared is one such boy.
Do you like porridge?
Yes.
What else do you like to eat? Do you like ham?
No.
Cheese? What about vegetables? Fruit?
For when his food's not mashed, he is crushed.
Tell me just a little bit about it.
We're struggling at the moment to have him eat normal food like the family eats.
Right.
He's got his limit. Well, he's limited. His food's limited. He only eats porridge and Weetabix, and the occasional jar food.
Then what you're looking at is a child that's gone back to the stage of when they're like 9, 10 months.
Yes.
The best step in moving him forward is to give him the foods with the same consistency. So, for example, a fish pie and a shepherd's pie is made of the same consistency. But the difference is it's got all of the other nutritional value vitamins that he needs within that food plan. If he refuses it, don't make a big deal about it, okay? Just say, Mummy would really like you to have a spoonful. Come on, I'm eating as well.
Yes.
Give him a chance to try it again if he wants and say, look, you can have that, otherwise nothing now until dinner time. Otherwise, what you'll find is half an hour later, he'll be trying to go in the pantry. Mummy, I want a yoghurt, I want this. Say, darling, you can't have one now. So, you know, if you eat your dinner, then you can have one afterwards. So that he realises he can't graze in between. Otherwise, he doesn't have to eat, does he, at lunchtime, if he's going to get the food in between?
I just look at him as my baby, and I just want to give him what he wants. Just want to make him happy.
And you can give him what he wants, but you have to give him what he needs first. Hi, nice to meet you.
Another fussy eater is 7-year-old Rhythm, who refuses to dine in front of his family.
How you doing?
Only when he's on his own.
Yes.
And if nobody's watching him. And when he plays with the food.
Right, okay.
He'll say, don't stop looking at me.
Can I ask you what conversation you have around the table? Like, do you just all get down and you just stare and stare?
I guess so. I know, it's terrible.
Can you imagine that? I mean, literally, it's like having an audience. Where's the conversation?
Yeah.
Does he eat his food generally? Does he eat what you cook for him?
No, he doesn't. All depends.
Sometimes you do. Oh, he's
not all
there in
the time.
defence. Sometimes I do. Sometimes. And when he doesn't, what happens?
I go and cook him some more.
Oh, look at that. It's Joe's calf down the road now. I'm going to ask you to do this. All right? If there is one meal on that menu, there is one meal. All right? We're closing the cafe. Follow it through. Talk.
All parents get frustrated with their kids' eating habits at some time or another. So don't turn the dining table into a battleground. It will only make things worse. Introduce them to new foods gradually, and please persevere. Lead by example, because if they see you enjoying a varied diet, they'll be interested too.
Meet Corey, an uncontrollable 5-year-old. He lives at home in Surrey with his mum, Emma, dad, Alex, and his 2 sisters, 15-month-old Alanis and 6-year-old Anya.
Corey can have between 3 and 10 tantrums a day, lasting from 15 minutes to an hour and a half.
Corey can be set off by anything. From the simplest things of he doesn't want to get undressed, to as something as big as, you know, we're going to go for a walk. It could be anything. He's been like this since he started school.
It's heart-wrenching because we don't know why he's got all this pent-up anger.
Don't you dare hit me! I can take what he gives me because I'm his mother. I know what he might do to himself or one of his sisters. He really hurts Anya. He has winded her. He's made her nose bleed. Recently, it's only been a couple of times, but a couple of times is more than enough. He has hit his little sister because she's either taken a toy from him and she doesn't understand, she's 15 months. And I don't know how to control it or even stop him from getting into that state. I need Joe to help me guide my son in the right direction and to get a relationship back with my son.
Hiya, nice to meet you. Hello. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Emma.
What's your main concern with Corey?
Apart from the way he becomes, it's the way he is with me. You know, he will hit and punch. It's like, I don't know. I'm the one he can take it out on, and so I just don't understand why it's mainly focused at me. I get angry, and that I don't know why I get angry. I don't know why.
So you snap and you shout.
I don't feel like I'm his mum anymore. I feel like I'm just someone that shouts at him.
Joe is concerned that rather than disciplining Corey, Emma is just screaming and shouting at him, which only goes to make things worse. She wants to hear what Corey has to say.
Do you listen and do as you're told?
Well, but sometimes not.
You're a big smiler. You're not the same little boy I saw on a video.
No.
No, when I arrived, I saw a little boy kicking and screaming and shouting. And I saw a mummy that was doing that as well.
Back in the house, Joe asks Emma to write down what it is that makes her so angry.
So, pick up your toys and put them away.
Do you expect them to be tidy 24/7 when you should just sit back and go, all right, it's no big deal, we can do it at the end of the day? Food.
I don't like if there's crumbs on the floor or anything.
Mess.
I don't like mess.
She wants things done now.
I want it, but I want it done my way.
So we're dealing with overbearing, controlling, obsessive behaviour. This control of having to have everything, you know, a certain way and the kids a certain way is creating more problems. You're not allowing the kids just to breathe and just enjoy and be kids. If you're dictating stuff all the time, then the kids are going to meet you with resistance because they're going to feel suffocated. We've been in here talking a lot today, and those kids are just enjoying themselves. They're playing, they're having fun, but they're not fighting because you've been in here sorting yourselves out rather than in there going, right, do this, put this up, put that, do this. Do you know what I mean? Mum has certainly not dealt with discipline, and she's chose to be very aggressive and confrontational and combative with Corey. And she's realised that she can be quite uptight and short-tempered about things that are not necessary. So learning to let go of situations and being realistic with what she expects from the kids are certainly going to halve her stress levels.
Jo Frost is travelling around the country on her first ever roadshow, helping families get their lives back on track. A problem she often encounters is children's fears. 1 in 3 kids will develop a fear at some time or another, the most common being of blood, the dark, and animals. But for 10-year-old Taylor, her childhood fear has become debilitating.
I feel like I'm missing out on stuff, and that's why I want my phobias over and done with. We went for a bike ride in the New Forest, and I walked with my bike beside me.
Why was that?
Because there were so many dogs and horses.
What did you feel that if you got on your bike they would attack you?
Yeah, I thought if I got on my bike, they would chase me.
Tell me why you're here.
When I see a dog or sometimes a cat or horse or cow, I try running away.
Right. So you get really nervous then when you're around animals?
Yeah.
Okay. What is it that you're fearful of when you see a dog, for example?
I get worried that one might bite me or
Right.
like just pounce up at me.
So has a dog ever chased you, or has a dog ever run near you?
Yeah, I was at the common once and a dog bounced up at me.
Right, and it scared you?
Yeah.
Natural instincts is fight or flight, okay? So when you see something, your adrenaline goes, and when your adrenaline, which is the chemical in your body, starts to work, it makes you feel like you're either gonna fight or you're gonna flight and you're gonna leg it, you're gonna run miles away from it, because that's the adrenaline. But what adrenaline does as well, Taylor, is that it makes your heart go really fast. You feel that? Your heart beat fast, and then you feel like you can't breathe and you hyperventilate. So learning to breathe through that and to work through the anxiety would really help you, and you can start to do that from a distance and then work closer and closer.
Me and my mum, we're gonna try and work through this phobia together.
5 weeks later, Taylor has tried out Jo's advice.
Have you got some good news for me?
Yeah. Since I last come and saw you,
Yes.
I've been to parks and I've been to my auntie's house who's got a dog, And I've been up to the cage and I've been stroking it behind the bars.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, that's truly wonderful.
That's a big step for you.
So having now stroked the dog, how do you now actually feel about dogs at the moment?
Well, at the moment I feel less scared of dogs. I feel like really secure and I feel good about myself.
Well done, Taylor. You're doing
absolutely brilliant.
Okay.
Bye, darling.
Bye.
She's been using the breathing techniques, haven't you, that Joe advised. And she's been working really well with that because it's stopping her from running away. So it's absolutely brilliant.
Joe believes the single most important thing that mums and dads can do is spend quality time with their kids. Let's face it, she's spent her career mopping up the consequences of too little. She wants to wake parents up to the shocking truth that the average British child now spends just 49 minutes of quality time a day with their family. Joe's out to prove small changes can make a huge difference. Today, she wants parents to leave work at work.
How many hours would you say that you actually bring home with you?
Oh, at least a couple in the evening.
With the BlackBerry, you're always working, so it's always on.
There are days when work wins and there are days when the kids win. You know, and hopefully you maintain the balance.
And that's harder these days as the average worker now grafts for 5 hours a week more than their contracted hours. That's an extra 33 working days a year. Is it any wonder 35% of youngsters think their parents are stressed out and that they bring work home with them at least once a week? Claude Knights, a director of the charity Kidscape, has seen the impact of parents distracted by work.
We certainly have seen an increase in children and young people phoning us about the lack of time in family life. Many serious problems that children have, there are signs and symptoms to notice. And if you are very, very busy, you might miss some very vital clues.
And how do working parents feel?
How do you juggle? How do you Cirque du Soleil and spin the plates?
Well, being very patient, I think, and trying to get them to wait whilst you're sort of checking your BlackBerry and checking your emails, unfortunately.
How do you release that feeling of guilt then every day?
Well, you have to internalise it. You take it with you. And that guilt is there. Being a parent makes you feel guilty most of the time about something.
We've got to try and find a way of juggling and time management between work and parenting. And I think sometimes that's where we struggle.
The reality is the work's not going to go away, but what we want to go away is the guilt. Being able to find time with your kids so that you can be consistent and your kids get from you what they need and you feel great as a parent having that time with them is the answer.
So can Joe get self-confessed workaholic Davinia to leave her work at work?
No, can't play games on this.
Davinia and her husband have 2 children, 5-year-old Ollie and Seb, who's 3.
I definitely snap at the kids when I'm trying to get something done and they're saying, excuse me, mummy, very politely, and I have to sort of usher them off so that I can finish.
Mummy's got the phone in her hand, and when she's got it in her hand, we say boo, and she drops her phone.
Joe sends Davinia a video message explaining what she wants her to do.
When you come home from work, I want you to spend the first 30 minutes with your kids having quality time with them with everything switched off. And before they go to bed, you're going to spend a quality 30 minutes with them also.
I think it's going to be difficult to break the habit of coming home and being on the phone and checking your mobile and checking your emails, but I think the kids will love it, and I think it's a great idea to spend some time with them and they'll appreciate it a lot.
He's coming!
Davinia follows Joe's 30-minute rule for 3 consecutive nights.
Again.
The brain is really... It was difficult not to have my phone to hand The guilt thing of not being able to check emails straight away was playing on my mind a bit, and a little bit daunting to try and break the habit of what I'm used to doing. We have found the new rule absolutely brilliant. It's very exciting for the kids to have mummy come home and spend half an hour straight away just playing with them. So fly over to me and then we'll put them in the pirate.
When mummy's coming from work, she plays with me.
It is very achievable to spend that time with them and then to work around it after. But I would definitely recommend this to any of my friends with kids.
I like playing with mummy!
One man in desperate need of some quality time with his stepkids is Scott. Joe knows it's critical to get him involved.
Scott, you're going to take all 3 kids out with you this afternoon so that you can just let go of that control and just know that Scott's going to take care of all of them, manage it all really well, and go out and bond. Right, any anxieties?
A little bit, I suppose. My heart's beating a little bit fast.
Yeah. What's your concerns?
Just that when we go out, I'm always there. If something goes wrong, I'm there to deal with it.
Yeah. So who's dealing with it now?
Scott.
And is he capable of doing that?
Yeah.
If we create a circumstance that allows you to step back, it means that Scott has to step forward and the kids rely on Scott so that they become closer.
Okay.
Chloe and Scott's relationship has certainly been up and down purely because it's been very hard for Chloe to accept Scott as part of the family. And I believe experiences, as what we're doing now, just allows their relationship to grow.
Oh, nearly.
Tell me what just happened over there.
She ran at me, jumped up and kissed me. And that weren't me doing it to her. She ran at me, jumped up and kissed me on the lips, big kiss.
And
that was a shock, that was a shock.
That was a shock, but nice,
She
right?
ran
A
back
nice
and
shock. Don't ever underestimate the importance of being able to hug and to kiss and to show affection to children, because that's what shows them that you're loved. So, you know, you've got to break down that wall and be the big bear that I know that you are. Okay.
Did you have a nice time? Yeah? You have a nice time? Oh, it's nice to have you back though, but it is nice to have a bit of peace sometimes.
How we got in, I picked her up and gave her a cuddle and a kiss, and then from that next hour, she ran at me and just jumped and cuddled and kissed me.
Oh, I'm well enough here now.
Wake for you.
It's like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders, you know. Now I'm not on my own. And even though I've been with Scott for 2 years and he's lived it for a year, I have felt like I am on my own because I felt like I had to do everything. And it is hard knowing now that he's there and I've got that help. It's nice to know that he feels that way about my children. But do you know what? I can't thank you enough. You've been here for 2 days and it's like a weight's been lifted and everything just seems to be like a lot better.
Ah, really nice to leave them on that note of just being huggy and kissy and really affectionate. I mean, they needed that tonight. What I'm really hoping now is Mum going out, whether it's round to her mum's for an hour or out with her friends, leaving Scott with the kids to parents.
Jo Frost is out and about with her very first roadshow, helping the nation to become better parents. Next up, a parental landmine that every mum and dad has to step over.
I want to know about potty training, how to initiate potty training. She will not sit on the potty.
She even sat on the toilet.
How old is she?
She's 2.
She's 2?
Yeah.
Okay. The lady over here has asked a wonderful question, actually. How do you potty train your children? The bladder doesn't exercise any control until at least 18 months. So if you try to potty train your child before 18 months, okay, you're not going to get the successful results. So the most important thing to do when you're potty training your child is to check first in the afternoons when they wake up from a nap whether their nappies are sodden, whether they're really wet. If they are, that's a very clear sign that they're not ready, okay, to be potty trained. If you find during their nap times their nappies are particularly dry, then what you can do is initiate potty training. What's important also is to make sure that when you make a decision to do it, you're going to do it and follow through. No excuse of, well, we're going to the supermarket, I'll quickly put a nappy on them. That doesn't work, okay? They're either feeling that they're in big boy pants and knickers or they're in nappies, okay?
As many parents know, children will often be bullied just for being different from the crowd. For 7-year-old Morgan, his love of cheerleading is the reason he's picked on.
None of the boys come and every boy says it's for girls and he just sees it.
There's a little bit of a dispute about Morgan doing cheerleading.
Yes.
With who? With who?
The dad mostly.
Okay.
And the boys at school.
They just said cheerleading's for girls. I'm trying to tell them that it's a boys' sport too. And if I do cheer, everyone in my class bullies me, so I just go away from them and do it.
Good for you. I'll tell you what, you can be my cheerleader with that attitude because I love it. I love it. If the boys, okay, get very nasty with you and they say hurtful things, I want you to make sure that you let your parents know and you let your teachers know, okay? So if I become the referee between you and the husband about whose side I'm on for this, I've got to say I'm on Morgan's side.
Oh, there you go.
Okay,
Morgan.
I'm here to vote for Morgan.
Yes.
He loves it, he's enjoying it, you know, so have fun with it.
Yeah.
All I can say is carry on pom-pomming.
Thank you.
Scott and Maria have been sticking to Joe's advice and have seen some big improvements.
This is the most I've seen Jack for ages, because he's usually up here and he's downstairs. It's nice because he's doing everything. He's eating downstairs. He's just everything's downstairs, you know. I haven't got to keep calling him to come down. It's so much. It's made it so much easier. It is. It's really good, isn't it? Whose turn is it? Is it mine? Yeah.
But this once divided step-family has been left with some homework that could push them to the limit. Before Joe arrived, Maria didn't even trust Scott to babysit her kids. But now she's going out, and Scott is going it alone.
When you go out to a pub with your mates for 4 hours, what's the deal? Why's your mum got to come?
I'm just worried though. I think he'll have trouble getting Demi in bed, maybe. Chloe might play up a little bit.
I ain't worried at all. What can say to be worried about? There's 3 kids. It's just normal.
But it's not all plain sailing.
Well, listen, that's a bit of a stupid game, innit? Get down, Chloe. Above. Go and sit down.
I want Mummy to put me to bed.
After a few teething problems, Scott gets the girls to bed, and Maria returns to a peaceful home.
Hiya. Everything all right?
Put the bed, she went straight to sleep.
That was all right then?
Yeah.
Everything's cool here then? This is another new chapter, hopefully, and things are looking up.
Things are also looking up in Surrey as Joe has made the shocking discovery that Corey's mum shouting triggers his frenetic temper tantrums.
Come on! Don't you dare hit me!
Joe's first job is to teach Emma that yelling at Corey is no way to discipline him.
Why is it important to not shout or yell at the kids when you're giving them a warning, Emma?
You were showing the kids that you know, the answer's not in shouting, and it's not okay to shout, because everything we do, they think if they can do it, because if we do it, they do it.
No, leave me alone.
Jo takes Emma outside to practice through role-playing with her husband, Alex.
How do you give a warning?
You would go to their level, keep eye contact with them with a
Yes.
stern voice, but not loud and shout.
Correct. OK. Emma, I want you to tell Corey right now to put down the magic marker.
Corey, I would like you to put down the magic marker, please. Corey, I'd like you to get off the trampoline now, please.
No.
Corey, this is your warning. I would like you to get off the trampoline now, please, or I will put you on the step.
You did it very well. I think you are grasping it.
Jo's second task is to encourage Emma not to be so obsessive about tidiness. For most families, getting stuck into messy play would be a real treat, but not for this anxious mum.
Kids, we're going to paint some pots and then we're going to plant these inside them. Yeah.
Yes!
Wow, what shall I do on my pot?
So I'm gonna mix it up. Thank you, Mummy, for letting us to paint. That's alright.
What does that confirm for you when you hear little things like that?
It melts my heart. It doesn't break my heart, it melts my heart. It's lovely.
I mean, you know, all that don't want mess and everything. You got to get messy and enjoy it. Have fun. Was she trying really hard not to get messy?
Well, I was very watchful of what they were doing with their brushes as they were talking and...
All right, fair enough. It was important to do messy play today because Mum doesn't like getting messy. And so today, coming out and having fun with the kids allows her just to really step back and actually just enjoy the moment with your kids and have fun with them. You know, Mum just relaxed. She needs to relax, not be so highly strung and just enjoy it. I've left them homework to actually, don't be on top of everything, you know, pick your battles, have fun, enjoy.
Corey, did you want to come and do some drawing before dinner?
Since Jo left, Emma's parenting style has become much more relaxed, and she's seen a huge difference in Corey's behaviour.
I think Corey's been really good because I haven't been so controlling. I haven't been going in and pestering him, which I do, and I'm hands up to that. And he's been able to play. He's been able to be a child. What are you drawing, Corey?
A monster. What can hang on walls?
Since Jo's left, it's been great. Things are a lot calmer in the home, and we haven't shouted or anything.
I used to say to myself, oh, I'm only, you know, shouting when it gets really bad, but I wasn't. I was shouting a lot. In fact, I probably spent most of my day shouting. There's an easier way to discipline your children.
And incredibly, Corey's 10-a-day tantrum habit has been cut to 0. Four weeks after she left, Jo is returning to see how this once warring step-family is getting along.
How is everyone?
Right.
Things are a lot better. With the discipline, they are much, much better.
Putting them on the step still.
Yeah.
I've put them to bed on Sunday. I've still been putting the rules in place.
Yeah.
And it's been sticking. I ain't had none of it.
And Jack is out of his room once and for all.
I feel that it's better now because I spend more time with my mum. I spend more time with Chloe, Demi and Scott. And I also think that I'm more happier now that I do more stuff with my family and it feels like I'm really, really more included.
And it's not just Jack who now feels part of the family.
The more Scott is like this with the girls, the more she'll feel that protection from him, you know?
Him and Chloe have definitely bonded so much better. Yeah. Definitely. She's just so lovely to talk to. I never ever thought I'd see that from her. She's very much a daddy's girl. Everything's daddy.
Overall, I mean, you know, they've taken the advice, they're doing really well. Good work done. I guess on to the next family.